Hello everybody, this is LRL TV and we are here with our weekly podcast now that will be on a Monday, and what we'll be talking about is basically F1 and F2 and our key drivers, what the standings were after the race, and I'll just let you see the insight into what we basically, or like what we think of all the drivers that were racing. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the race fixtures and what happened after the race ended in F1. So winning the race was LR Sparks, who's in the podcast now. I don't know do you want to do a little just summary of how your race went?
Yeah, it was really good. Leon, who came behind me in second, it was a battle the whole way. It could be said a controversial battle, but I was the driver, so we'll see what everybody else thinks on that.
Yeah, there was an incident on the last lap. Sadly, the stream cut out on the last lap. But basically, what happened is Sparks, you squeezed him off track a bit, not realising you did, and there was a bit of contact. You drifted off and he kind of went deep into the corner, and it kind of resulted in the gap getting bigger and all. It didn't really make, if there was more laps in the Grand Prix, it wouldn't have ruined his race. But moving on to CPI Leon, outstanding performance in round 1. Qualifying, he got a 1:19.2, I believe. Yes.
Yes, it was.
Very good performance overall. He did have an incident with Leroy that is in the party now. But we're not going to dive into that much because, I mean, both of them are on different sides with it, so we don't want to start anything. With a great comeback coming back from P12 was Darkbolt, who we don't exactly know if he's staying with us. It would be good if he does, because I mean it would just add an even bigger fight to the top pack. With LRL Mick behind him that had quite a good performance as well, starting P10 come back. So a lot of the rear pack came up and overtook more of the middle top 10. So then you had Matt following behind, who actually finished the race in P3, but had, in a result of tons of penalties, he sadly got moved down. And then behind him was Jarry in the Toro, so he had kind of a bland race. It was only kind of at the end that he started picking it up, and then it eventually resulted in him getting P7. LRL Ginger, the other Racing Point. Actually, Racing Point really scoring some good points this evening, or about that on Saturday. P4 and P7 for the Racing Point. He had a decent race, to be honest. He had I think it was like a 5-man battle for quite a lot of laps, and he was involved with that. Terror Racer had very boring race, and one of the guys maybe fighting just behind the top was LRL Legendi. He had a shocking race result in the end of it. He qualified 3rd and came out P9, and then Adam, who is a reserve, and it was his debut drive, performed alright, but just went down compared to where he started. He was in P10, finishing the race, but started P7. You want Midnight, he had quite a shocker of a race, going from P4 to P11, so outside the points for the Red Bull team. To Gok, I'm sure this guy was on AI quite a lot. Like, he was having internet troubles. And to round off the grid, it was quite a small grid, but that was because you had PSG evaluation race and the British Grand Prix. There was just tons of people missing. But LRL Leroy rounding out the top 13 after DNFing after the start, who qualified 6th. So
yeah, I was going to point out real quick before we go on to the next
Yeah.
thing. Mick for the Force India team, he's after qualifying 10th and finishing 4th, that's going to be like a real confidence booster for the next round. Ginger, on the other hand, he qualified 8th and finished 7th, so he told us before the race that he was struggling in race pace, but for Mick, that's a really good performance. I would never expect to see him in 4th, and that's going to just be a massive confidence booster for the next race.
I mean, also, like, someone like Adam, performing that well against very quite guys, it must have been, like, good for him. You want Midnight, though. I kind of feel bad for him. Qualifying P4, and then got the fastest lap with a 1:21.4, which is decent lap on race pace. Definitely someone that could have maybe fought for that P3 and probably would have got it. So I don't know if do you want to take the F2 standings away?
Yeah, let me just find it here. So in F2, it was a very dominant race by Jordy from what I've heard. I've not seen much of it, but Jordy came first even after having a pit stop, if I'm not mistaken, 2 pit stops after crashing at Parabolica, and lots of penalties must be said. He came first for the Ferrari, so both divisions, there's a Ferrari on top step. He came first, starting first. He might have even got the fastest lap if I'm not wrong.
It might have been a Grand Slam. Yeah, it was a Grand Slam finish.
It was a complete all-in-all finish for Jordy. You've got Chaz Meister, a very new driver to the season, in the Renault, who finished 2nd. He started 6th, so he's done a good comeback. He got a lot of penalties, just as much as Jordy, but for him to get that 2nd place, that'll be a good confidence boost. And for his first proper race in LRL, he should be happy with that. We've got Nexus Chaos, who I believe came first, but just got too much penalties. He's looking in top form, and just because of a bad race, I don't think we should count him out, because he's definitely going to
I think there was an incident between, sorry to interrupt you there, and there was an incident between Jordy and Nexus Chaos, and that's why Chaos was down, because I think it was Chaos and Jordy having a fight at one point, and then, but no, it was both of the Ferraris that had an incident. That was it.
Yeah, I'm just going to go on to after Maximus, who obviously done really well, good points for Red Bull, 3rd and 4th, so well done to Maximus and X Chaos. I was going to go to Ferrari guy. He, after being overconfident about this week's race, apparently didn't get a lot of practice in, but that could be said for others. He didn't do well. He crashed in the last corner, which resulted in Jordy going into the side of it. And so I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ferrari guy may have just messed up a 1-2 for Ferrari at Italy. So Chelsea fans won't be very happy. Sticky Bomb, who it was his first race in a while in league racing after having Wi-Fi issues, finished 6th in the Haas. After finishing 3rd, he had a difficult start, but he still came home to score points. Behind him, his teammate, the Haas driver, DSY_Delta, who I may point out is extremely new to this game, scoring his first points in league racing, coming 7th, so he should be happy with that. He qualified 7th and finished 7th. He had a 3-stop race, so he must have had picked up some damage, but all in all, he should take the more positive results.
Yeah, I got some insight into that from Sticky Bomb, one of our admins, and Delta spun, I'm sure. So that might have been what gave him the damage, causing him to do the free stop. But I mean, he didn't lose any positions in the end of it, but he didn't gain any. Overall, the Haas, well, it would usually try and catch as a teammate, but Haas doing a decent job there.
Yeah, and after a lot of people missing, that's all for F2. Sadly, we're going to have to. Quite a lot of people from F2 were missing due to British Grand Prix and all that. A few people just didn't tell, so we'll be having a word with them on attendance. But Leroy, who's new to the podcast to date, Have you got any words in F1 or F2 you want to talk about? Any drivers?
No, I mean, I don't really have much to say because, apart from, I mean, in F1, obviously, first of all, I want to congratulate you, Sparks, on winning. Because I watched it. It was a great battle between you and Leon, who, I had contact with her in the race, and as we said, we're not going to go into too much detail about that because, you know, we both have our opinions. So, in terms of the F2 race, I know that Nexus Chaos lost on penalties, unfortunately. But really, apart from that, I'm happy with how clean F1 was, and I'm not sure about F2, but I know F1 from what I saw was clean, apart from maybe one or two things. But
I was gonna ask you, so you messed up in your qualifying, if I'm right, yeah?
yes, I did.
Yeah. So you messed up your qualifying, fought your way back to the top. The incident with CPI Leon, which just got caught in Zoom just for a moment, can you give us more detail about that? Because I'm sure everybody would be interested to hear about
But, I mean, there was two incidents, basically. First one was going down into turn one. I was on the inside, he squeezed me onto the grass, which forced me to... I mean, I lost control, and I have to go over the curb in turn one, which made me get 5 seconds on Tony, and then... Second incident, which I was annoyed about at first, but when I look back at it, I realised that it was a bit of over-aggression from my part, down into turn one, I was on the outside, and then I kind of went a bit too aggressive, went into the side of them, and got wing damage.
Alright, well, you also crashed at a scary ending your race, yeah?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you a quick question here. It's not what's the word? It's not rare to see people crash at a scary. It happens often. People just try and push over that limit. And with tires degrading that fast in the first stint at Italy, as they do, it's an easy one to crash. But after crashing at a scary, obviously you would have been left frustrated. But is that lowered your confidence anymore? Or has that just made you more eager to go and get a podium finish at the next race?
I mean, in terms of the lowering my confidence, no. I mean, personally, I think some drivers it affects, but I mean, if I crash, I just take the positives because I knew that race could have gone better if the incident Leon didn't occur. I didn't mess up my coil off, so I know what I could have delivered. So, no, in terms of confidence, denting, not at all. And yeah, it has made me more eager to push for that podium.
I mean, it was the start, especially. I was really happy about like your start, because you came from, what was it, like P6 all the way to P3 in the space of 3 laps. I mean, you were like zooming past these people like easily, and then you got into the back of CPI Leon, and that allowed Sparks, who's in the party, I keep saying that, but to get away like straight away, basically, when you were battling Leon. So it kind of paid off for that first stint with Sparks. But I mean, the race could have been a lot different maybe if Leon was there, or if you were there, and if all of you were in groups. Because I mean, to me it looked like CPI Leon and Sparks definitely were on basically the exact same pace. I think you might have just been a bit off them, but it was a case of Slipstream was there that was allowing you.
Yeah.
But
you wanna go?
no, go.
Alright, I was gonna say before anybody wants to move on real quick, LRL Legende, after having a good qualifying, he dropped by. I didn't see the stream or anything, so not 100% sure what happened to him. Do you know, Brett?
I think it was just a loss of pace. I mean, I think it was just off of it. It was struggling to just keep up. It might have just been a bad day. Because,
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause-
he's not usually that bad on race pace.
I was going to say that won't help his confidence either. A lot of hard hits for him that race. I mean, he can take a positive. They got third in qualifying. Also with Matt crashing in qualifying, that's not going to help him. A lot of people crashed this weekend. We had Matt, Mick. Who else did we have? We had Leroy. So that's 3 people that crashed. I think they were all at Scary actually. So Scary being a really hard hitter, but that just proves the nature of that track. And Matt taking maybe some positives out of that race, but he's really going to have to be a little more careful in the penalties. So yeah, that was my F1 result.
I feel like I think we've covered a lot of things in a very short amount of time there. Trying to think what else we could maybe talk about in here. I mean, have any of your predictions changed for maybe the title?
The title, if Dark Box stays, he'll be a very good contender. I mean, everything's to play for. That could have just been a lucky race for certain people, obviously. Matt, if that was a standout performance for his whole season, every race, he's obviously not going to be a title contender. But Matt, I've raced him before, and I'm telling you, he's definitely not one to quit, and he's definitely not one who will make bad weekends. So Matt, he's definitely still up there. Leon's still up there. Leroy, after, I don't know if he can, he's already 25 points behind Sparks, me, which is going to make it difficult for him to come back, but hopefully if he can make the best of bad results from everyone else around him, he can do well. But right now Leroy's looking around about 5th. I think he's just missing that little bit of spark that everyone else has. He lacks a bit of consistency during qualifying. I'm not sure about race, but he just needs to really try not crack under pressure during qualifying. But he's still young. He's still got a lot of ahead of him. Matt is the complete opposite of Leroy, but he's just had a bad race. Darkbot, if he stays, he can do really well. I mean, it's all to play for. Everybody has their good tracks, everybody has their bad tracks, and it's going to be really interesting this season.
Right, so let's move on to F2 now. F2, I mean, a lot of the top guys went there. There's people like, for instance, Jagos, he was literally not there just because it was out of a mistake. He literally just forgot, and by the time he wanted, well, he realised it was too late. So, another driver, Max Wheatley, just, he could have been there. It had something to do with the British Grand Prix, but then apparently he was watching it at home anyway, so it's a bit confusing. We're definitely working on the numbers of drivers. I mean, F2 is just as competitive as F1 at the moment, if all the drivers are there. But I mean, if that continues, and Jordan, I mean, you have Jordy and Next Chaos, which are the 2 standout drivers, in my opinion, of this season.
Yeah.
In F2, it's just a case of if people like Jagos and people like Max Wheatley are gonna show up and put that fight in. I mean, we did say that Racing Point is our kind of guess of who's gonna get the constructors.
I was gonna touch on that. Like, F2 is a very diverse division. You've got these drivers who are absolutely rapid in qualifying, but then they lack that pace in the race, and it all comes down when you win. If you win the F2 title and you take that step up into F1, it's completely different. I mean, you can see from R. Kelly, he was the absolute dominant force in F2 won the title by a good stretch and won it comfortably, to say the least. And he's just went into F1 and he's not having the easiest times. That it's not to say he's not going to pick up some confidence and get a good few point finishes, but he had a struggle in Spain, and these F2 drivers really need to listen to themselves and think, right, I really need to put these performances and really just stay consistent and prove to everyone that I can get that spot into F1 when it comes to evaluation races.
I mean, it's a case of lack of consistency. That's what F2 is. And that's why it's kind of what that case of, well, you don't know who's going to win. I mean, because you could see someone like Ferrari guy that is very confident, has a pace then or there, or maybe. It's like, it just depends how other people are around the track in F2.
Yeah, it's an interesting grid, to say the least. DSY Delta, a newcomer, he'll be learning off all these people, and I'm pretty sure everybody will be learning off of other people. That's what F2 is all about, that's what the lower division is about. Even F1 has that sometimes, but it's more to see in F2 I mean, sorry. So, Leo, have you got anything to add to that for the F2 results?
No.
Okay, that's just great, isn't it? Another standout driver that I was going to talk about after Leroy's long sentence there, Sticky Bomb _04. His first race back in league racing for a while after having Wi-Fi problems. He's done. He could have been better, but after I think it was no practice at all, and it was his first competitive league race in quite a while. That's going to give him a confidence boost, and if he is racing next week after maybe finding out his Wi-Fi's got better, I can see him doing really well. He's extremely motivated to keep up with the top guys in F2, and he's extremely motivated to practice. He's also one of the head admins for LRL, and he's a very determined driver. I would love to see him race again consistently, because Sticky Bomb, he's got that fire in him, and when you see that potential in a driver, you really want them to race, and I'm really hoping he can race, because he loves racing, and it'd just be sad to see that help go away.
I mean, one thing about Sticky Bomb is I reckon if he hasn't had the Wi-Fi issues, for instance, had the same Wi-Fi as me or you, it would be a case of he would probably be in F1 at this point, by the amount he plays the game, by the amount he enjoys the game. But it's a case of, it's not him that's slowing him down. It's the fact that he's such a nice person, he doesn't want to disrupt anybody else's chance of winning or getting a great position. I mean, one thing that he has been saying is saying if he does cause somebody to retire or to crash, he's quitting it. So it's showing that, I mean, he doesn't want to cause anybody, he doesn't want his lag to cause issues on track.
Yeah, I think we all want to see him race again. It's just all about unlocking that potential. Every driver has a peak limit of unlocking that potential, and I'm telling you, Sticky Bomb's got a load of potential in his back pocket, and when he hits that potential, I would love to see him fighting in F1, because I think that's definitely possible. Somebody else we haven't covered on is Dippy, or you could call him LR Mystic. He hadn't raced in Italy, but it's going to be interesting to see how he does when he comes back. He'll be hoping to take a good form onto the new game, but after a few poor results in the last game, I mean, what are your thoughts? I can't see him doing well. If he can keep it around stinks, I can see him doing well, but he really needs to take his consistency.
I mean, since we know what we've seen on, what was it, day 1 of the game's release, is shocking. he was spinning out every corner. I mean, I think he's got to realise that in racing, or in sim racing, whatever genre, right, you shouldn't be trying to jump forward to keep up with somebody. You go at your own pace. Yeah, but you find your pace. You don't try and do what other people do. Like, do it yourself, and it will unlock so much. It's like, one thing I wanted to note on is like the whole sticky bomb thing. It's like when you're on Minecraft, right? You have a small chest. You open that chest, right? So okay, that right. That all them blocks are your potential. Oh, but you make it a double chest, right? Large chest. That's now your potential. You know? It's big. It's a big box.
Yeah. I would love to see Mystic do well. He's a funny character himself, but as I said, I think he overdrives the car, and he compares himself too much. That's the word I was looking for. He compares himself too much with other people. He compares himself with me, Brett, loads of other people, and he really needs to just focus on himself. And I think he can do it extremely well. That's one of it's not just him. Lots of people do this, but that's also one of the strong factors Sticky Bomb has. He focuses himself and no one else. Obviously, he is going to want to compare himself to the top in time trial leaderboards or esports driver, but he doesn't care how fast he is. All he cares about is getting the best result he can in whatever division he gets placed in. And I think all of F2 should take that mentality, and all of F1 obviously. But I'd love to see one of these F2 drivers really unlock a lot of potential, and by the end of the season maybe have a seat for F1.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I feel like that is a big problem, especially with maybe more unexperienced league racers or people that don't exactly understand everything to do. They just race because they enjoy it. But I feel like there's a difference when it comes to that. If you race just because you think it's fun, I don't think you're gonna really get faster. But if you race because you want to win, that's when you get faster, because you want to win.
I mean, it is a very close one. I was gonna, Leroy, do you have anything to add from F1 or F2? These divisions are extremely close. Have you already, how did I put it, do you already have friction between you and Leon, or are you two okay?
I mean, I'm still annoyed at them at what happened, because I kind of messed up my race. I mean, I barely talk. I mean, I don't really talk to them, but I mean, we're still gonna be aggressive on track as anyone. But I mean, I think like just because what happened in. Just because what happened on Saturday doesn't mean I'll be more like aggressive with him. I'm gonna treat him like I treat everyone else on the track. So no hard feelings between myself and him.
So treat him aggressive anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was going to say that we pretty much covered everything we could for F2 and F1 and the LA Grand Prix. So anybody got predictions or anything you want to say for next week round Britain?
Don't know. I mean, it's a case of Britain. I mean, you have the Britain event, right, that's going on. People are going to sweat that out. It's perfect timing, really, for us to put Britain as round 2. I mean, we didn't, of course, know that whole. I mean, well, I didn't know that when we made the calendar. So I feel like that's really going to show. I mean, to me, it's still too early to tell who's going to be the quickest driver. I mean, it's really early still into the game. Are we even? We're not a full month into the game yet, are we? No.
No.
Still really early, so I mean, I feel like Britain is going to be a very good Grand Prix, especially for F1. Tons of overtaking spots, plenty space. Let's just hope there's not as much penalties. I mean, because it is quite easy to pick up penalties at Britain, especially from out of the
midgets. I was going to mention, considering it's Britain and we off the rain, it'd be good to see it rain in Britain, see maybe a bit of hint help pop out. And me myself, I love the rain. It's so much better than driving. I'm not saying it's more satisfying to drive, but when you do nail a lap in the rain and you're fighting with the car and you get that perfect in the limit, it's beautiful. And I'm sure a few drivers out there can agree with me when you get on that limit in the rain and you don't go over it and you just sit there and do a perfect lap. It's the best feeling ever. I'd love to see some rain and maybe see some back markers or people who are never really fighting for top 5 come in and fight for top 5.
Yeah, I mean, rain could definitely switch up, but Britain, I would rather a dry circuit, man. That's personal preference for me. More overtakes side by side for Magdalene Beckett. That's what I want to see.
Alright, well, Leroy, have you got anything to touch on for Britain? Any predictions or anything like that?
Well, from my side, I'm hoping for Britain. This was my favourite track on the last game, and this is my favourite track in this game. I adore Britain, just track in general. And as you were saying, Sparks, it is so satisfying when you're just putting laps in the rain around Britain. And to be honest, I can't hope it rains because I am very good in the rain around there. So.
Well, we are going to listen to Sparks.
One last thing before this ending it. I was going to say, Britain's such a more the whole game obviously this year you need to be a lot smoother to be quicker, but through Maggots and Beckett's you need to be so sophisticated and smooth with your driving. You can't chuck the car in, and tyre temps may even be an issue around Britain, but Britain being a long straight, a lot of straights on the track, not as much as Italy of course, but you've got downforce sections and the straight, so it's a track that can test a driver to its limit, nail that perfect lap. And obviously we've got a lot of British drivers. I mean,
I think there'll be a diverse setup what everybody uses. Like, I don't think people will be using all the exact same setup like last year. It's because that's what everybody used to do. But I feel like there's going to be a lot more, because you can do to this year it's more personal adjustments.
Yeah.
But we're gonna end the podcast there. It's been a great one. We've managed to pull some information that I didn't even think we were gonna get out. Overall, it was a good race. We need a bit more drivers, but there was a lot of reasons for that. So hopefully it goes better next week around Britain. My voice just went. Right.
Thanks for watching, guys, and bye bye.
This is LRL TV.